down the basement, lock the cellar door, and baby, talk bloody to me.
Hi, and welcome to another action-packed, exciting episode of Talk Bloody to Me. I'm Matt,
And I'm Brizzy.
and today we are talking about a classic 1979 start of a franchise. It's Phantasm.
And fan request too.
Oh, and fan request. Who requested this one?
Terry Z Man requested this one.
Nice. And I'll try not to shit all no, but
Yep.
as we sometimes do with fan requests, and there will be a little bit
Yep.
of that as well.
Yep.
But so Phantasm is sort of legendary. I there's at least four of them, right? Four.
I believe so, yeah.
I have never seen any of them before. Have you?
I haven't seen any of them. I heard of them, but
Right.
I've never seen one single one of them.
Me either. I was in the exact same boat, and I know I've seen like I can remember being a kid and seeing commercials for him on TV with the silver balls flying around and the creepy old guy, and that was literally the extent of my knowledge of Phantasm is that there's a creepy old guy and silver balls fly around. And I assume there was some sort of phantasm, hence the name. But so so this was really interesting to watch this finally and to have an excuse to sit down and watch Phantasm. And I gotta say, it was a little confusing to me. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it was a little confusing to me too. Like I didn't really gather, but after like in the middle of the movie, then it started to click what's actually going on.
yeah, I watched the movie and I kind of had an idea like of what happened, but then I had to go online and look it up and read like a synopsis, and then I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get get it,
Yeah.
um, but Phantasm is so there's a newly orphaned boy, um, Jody, that goes to live with his brother Mike, I believe. I might be getting and then there's the friend Reggie. And the movie starts off with a bang, literally, because there's people banging in the graveyard.
Yeah.
And it's a guy and a woman, obviously. Well, anyway, but they're going at it, and then all of a sudden the woman turns into a creepy old guy. Ah! And then stab, murder, because you'd kind of probably want to get stabbed at that point if you thought you were doing a sexy
Yeah.
woman and it turned out to be a creepy old guy. But and then it's like, well, what the hell was that? And anyway, so Jody's living with his brother. He's following him around. There's a bunch of random just shit that happens,
Yeah, it's
basically.
all like random. It's like just like, oh, this is a killing scene random, and here's another random idea. It's like it I don't like, I mean, I like movies that have random ideas, but it
Hmm.
has to go with the story. Like it blends right in. This one's like just bam, this, bam, that.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck is going on?
Exactly. Like he's riding his bike and then he like wipes out in the graveyard and then there's like a weird little guy, like a Jawa from Star Wars, little guy in a brown robe chasing him around, and then there's a tall guy, and or they call him the tall man, but he's the creepy old guy. He doesn't seem that
Yeah,
particularly tall to me. Maybe it's because I'm 6'4", but for a character called the tall man, he seems like he should be like a foot taller than everyone around him. Anyway,
yeah.
that's my little side rant. What were you about to say?
Oh, I was gonna say he is kind of creepy.
He is creepy. He's creepy and weird looking. The actor that they got to play him, apparently his name is Angus Scrim. What a great name for
I thought he played pretty good on that
yeah.
as at that character, because it's like not even it's not even the looks, but it's just how he walks.
Yeah. And there's a part where so it's the Mike's friend was killed, and so they're at the funeral, whatever. But anyway, this guy seems to be stalking people, And there's a part where the kid's on the bike watching, and the friend has got like an ice truck, ice cream truck, and he's loading it up. And then the tall man walks by, and also he stops and he kind of puts his hands out like he's like sensing something, like, "Ugh." And just the way he does it is super creepy and weird.
I don't think it was creepy. I think it's like really odd,
Yeah,
but it's
odd.
like, uh,
That's a good way to describe this movie is odd. There's a lot of odd stuff in this movie, and a lot of the horror, a lot of the creepiness come in this movie comes from the fact that it is just odd and it's
yep.
sort of just strange imagery and um there's
And strange objects too.
exactly, yeah. And so the tall man has the funeral home and the kid sees him pick up the coffin and throw it in the back of the hearse one-handed. So he's like, "Whoa, this guy's supernaturally strong. Something's weird." So they're investigating it, and then there's they call them dwarfs, I think, but it's the brown robe guys
Yep.
trying to kill him. And they go into this funeral home, and it's just like these long, long corridors of marble, and it's just really cool looking and really just kind of like if I had seen this when I was a kid, when I was little, I would have been freaked the fuck out. I would have been like,
Oh
what the
yeah, definitely.
I would have been like, what the hell is happening in this movie? It's doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense and it's strange. And
But it will keep you like occupied though. Be like, okay, this is like really strange. This is creeping me out, but what the heck is going on? You're trying to figure out what's going on. So more likely you're probably going to be watching the whole way through the movie.
yeah, exactly. That's true. It did hold my attention too. I didn't turn it off like some of the movies we watch and then go back to it later.
Yeah.
I won't mention any names, but you can probably guess. But there so when he's in the funeral home, there's like a caretaker and he's holding the kid and then the silver ball, the famous silver ball comes floating around and it's flying right for him and the kid ducks and it like hits the guy in the face and the way it hits him and just kind of sticks there is it's goofy looking and it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of just weird. It's just
Yeah.
like dunk. Oh,
Yeah.
it's got blades. I should mention it has blades on the front of it. So it goes
Yeah. And
dunk.
like it kind of like screws like right in the middle too.
Yep.
And that's my favorite scene out of the whole movie.
Yep. Me too. Agreed
Yep.
completely. So yeah, the silver ball pops out with blades, sticks in the guy's head, and then a little drill comes out and goes, "Shh," and then a hole opens up on the other side, and a spout of blood, but it looks kind of like tomato soup in a way, but it's like
Yep.
shooting out of the little hole, and a lot of it too. Like the whole there, we just drained your whole human body of blood onto the
Pretty much
floor.
you drain your whole head.
Yeah. And then they show the guy's legs, and I swear it's piss. Do they show the guy pissed himself because he died? Because there's like
I,
water
I'm
coming down
I'm
out of
pretty
his leg.
sure I'm pretty sure it is.
I know that that's a thing that happens in real life. Like when people die, their bladder relaxes and they pee themselves. But I've never
Yep.
actually seen that in a movie before, in like a horror movie where it's like, hey, look, they're actually showing that. Look at that.
I
So
have. There's plenty of horror movies that shows that.
really,
Not all of them, but a good portion.
I probably have seen it 100 times and I'm just not remembering it. This scene particular. I'll you like mention it and I'll be like, oh yeah, duh. But for some reason it just seemed particularly like they seemed to focus on it a lot or so I don't know. So like I couldn't tell if it was pee at first or not. I was like, was this just guy leaking liquid from that ball? Or and then I was like, I think it's he peed. Anyway, so really discuss that in detail. really
Yeah.
really
Well,
analyze that.
sometimes we have to.
Yes, exactly. But really, oh, and then later, and so that was the silver ball that I was waiting the whole movie for. That's about halfway through the movie. And then a little later on, there's another one, but then they shoot it with a shotgun and it blows up right away. So I was like, well, that was anticlimactic. I think they come back in the later movies, though. I think they're prominently featured.
Yeah. We're going
Um,
to have to we're probably going to have to like watch the other ones in the near future, but yeah, I feel like there is.
apparently, a little trivia, the way they filmed that was they stuck the ball to the guy's face first, and then they pulled it off, and then they filmed it in reverse. They played it in reverse, so it went whoop, and that's why it looked so weird when it stuck to his head.
Oh, but yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. That makes sense.
Yep. So anyway, some more random shit happens. There's a gypsy fortune teller woman. I don't even know what that had to do with it. That's like their friend or something. Um, but they go back to explore Mike, Jody, and Reggie to the funeral home, and apparently the tall guy does turn into the woman again, almost seduces Mike, but the kid saves the day at the last
Mm.
second, interrupts, cock blocks him, and he's like, "What the
Yeah.
hell? What the hell, dude?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I just saved your life." And he doesn't actually say that, but that's basically what happened.
Yeah, pretty much that's what happened.
Yep. Um, so they're exploring the funeral home, and there's like a gate, like two tubes actually, and then he goes in there, and it's like Mars or a different planet or something, and there's like a line of people walking, and then he's like, oh, at some point they found out that one of the dwarf people was like their friend that died at the very beginning, but he had been somehow mushed down to dwarf size.
See,
So
that whole Mars situation, a different planet, that really confused the heck out of me.
right,
It's
exactly. That's
like
what.
they were just at the cemetery, now the morgue, and now at a different planet. What am I missing?
Yeah, exactly. So apparently those two, so that was part of what I had to look up afterwards. Like, what exactly did I just watch? But apparently those tubes are like a dimensional gate. This is too sci-fi for you, Breezy. That's why you don't like it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's a gate to another planet, and they need slaves. And so the tall man is on Earth, and somehow he's able to convert dead bodies and mush them down, and they need to be mushed because the gravity is higher on that planet and it's hotter apparently. And then he reanimates them as zombies and then sends them out into that world as his servants. And there's all these tubes, like these, or barrels, I should say, like these dark gray barrels that apparently have dead bodies that have been mushed into dwarf zombies inside of them. Which,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. You'd think there would be a more efficient way than
Right.
turning into a woman, seducing a person, murdering them, then having a full ass funeral, and then stealing the body after the funeral when you're the funeral director, but you're the one that killed them. Why did you just keep the body? I don't know, maybe so the cops don't, once they're dead and buried, no one cares anymore. They just assume they're in the ground. I don't fucking know.
I that's why it's like what it's like let your mind imagination, but yet it's so confusing.
Right. And then so like it's not really supernatural, it's more like sci-fi, really. Everything is presented in such a way that it's supernatural. Even the name Phantasm makes me think of ghosts, like phantoms and
Yep.
super specters and all that jazz, but it's not actually supernatural. It's aliens from Mars or some other red planet that's very Mars looking in appearance.
Yep.
And yeah, and that's and then what happens? They then spoiler alert, so they decide they're going to trap the tall man in like a mine shaft that they just apparently know about, and because they can't kill him, and then they lure him into the mine shaft, and then he just happens to have a giant boulder that he can roll over the cliff, and it lands perfectly into the mine shaft hole. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, what the hell? How was he able to push that boulder? And it just happens to be right above the mine shaft perfectly that it can land in there. And anyway, so then all of a sudden it's like the kid wakes up and the friend that was killed earlier is alive. And he's like, oh, it was all a dream. It was, this whole thing was a bad dream. And your parents and your brother actually died in a car crash. And you're having these nightmares because you can't cope with the trauma. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, that's kind of stupid, but it actually explains a lot. All this nonsense that was random and didn't make any sense, and the fact that the boulder just happened to be there. If you think it's all just a dream, it's like, well, okay, dreams don't always make sense. That kind of that kind of explains things. It's dumb, but it explains things.
Yep.
And then the guy's doing his thing. All of a sudden, there's the tall man in the mirror, and he breaks out and grabs him. And so, wait, it wasn't a dream? What the hell happened? Who's
Yeah, see,
dead?
that's what I was saying. Like it's like it I don't know. It's like it's like one thing after another. And it's like, okay, this starting to make sense, and then all of a sudden there's another scene comes up. It's like, okay, this doesn't make sense. What?
Yup, exactly. I don't know what's real, or I don't know what was a dream, what was really happened, who's dead, who's alive, who
Yeah,
was any of it, what, who knows? And that's fantastic. The
yeah,
end.
that's pretty much it.
Yup. So, um, other than the metal ball drilling into the guy's head, are there any scenes that stick out in your mind?
That was the only scene that I liked.
Yeah, pretty much that was the highlight of the movie for me. There is a part where they're in the room and all of a sudden it goes pitch dark, like when they're in the morgue, in the funeral home, mortuary, whatever the hell it's called. The lights go pitch dark and you just hear them talking and there's like those creatures and like that would be scary as fuck if you were in some morgue and all of a sudden all the lights went out and you knew there was creatures. But
Hmm.
as far as us, the movie viewers, all we're seeing is a pitch black screen with people talking. It's like a lot's left up to your imagination, but it would be
Yeah, if
scary.
you imagine that watching that in pitch dark
Yeah, exactly.
in the room.
So, Phantasm, I have mixed feelings about it. So, what would you rate it, Breezy?
Oh, he's probably going to hate me and other fans, but I'm probably going to rate this like as a 4.
Yeah.
I
I was,
mean, it's very like I said, confusing, and it's not going the storyline. Well, it is, but it's all over the place.
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna give it a 5, and now that we've talked about it more, I think I've talked myself down into a 4 like you because I gotta give it credit. There is some really creepy images and some really creepy ideas and just a whole sort of surreal, dreamlike, like the mood of the movie, the atmosphere is really cool. And like you
Yep.
said, odd. If you're looking for something that's odd, because I do usually like.
Odd, confusing, trying to like it's like a puzzle piece that you're trying to figure out.
Right. And I usually like those kind of movies. So I'm going to give it some points just for that and give it a 4. But as far as the actual storyline, and there's a lot of slow parts, and there's a lot of random stuff that doesn't seem to have anything to do with anything. And then the fact that I had to read what was happening after I was done watching the movie doesn't give it a lot of credit. But I'm wondering if the other ones are better. Maybe the other ones are even better.
Yeah, that's what
But
I'm wondering too.
because I mean, if you look at like most horror movies, if you look at the very first one compared to the later ones of these 80s era franchise, the first one's always a little iffy. You know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah,
it's
but look
always a
at Basket Case for
right. Well,
it actually got worse.
right. See, like there, you got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Halloween and Basket Case, where the first one is epic. But then you got like, so like what I'm thinking of is Friday the 13th, where the first one it's not really even Jason, it's his mom, and just
Yep.
it's Jason at the very end. And some people will be yelling at their screen right now saying Friday the 13th one is awesome. How dare you say anything against it? But it's like it's not it's there's no Jason. So like if you just saw Friday the 13th part 1 and wanted to talk about Friday the 13th the series, you wouldn't really know what the hell you're talking
Yep.
about. And I'm thinking that's maybe what this is with Phantasm, where if we watch the rest of the movies, it's going to be like, oh, okay, and it's going to get
Yeah,
better as it
but I
goes.
probably won't say anything until we watch it though and see,
Right. Maybe it'll just go downhill. It'll just go downhill in a hurry.
who knows?
We'll find out. Can't be any worse than Leprechaun.
Oh yeah, that too. Even I do like Warwick Davis though.
I do like Warwick Davis. Props to Warwick Davis.
Hmm. Yep.
So, uh, any final thoughts? Any last words about Phantasm?
No, actually.
Yeah. Thank you for the request. We love requests. We
And
love.
also it's Memorial Day weekend on
Hmm.
Monday, so if anybody is traveling, please be safe
Yes,
and
definitely.
hope you have fun. But it's a sad holiday.
Right.
Remember honor and remember our fallen veterans.
Exactly. And thanks so much for listening. We appreciate our listeners. Please give us requests so that we can shit all over them, or no, maybe you know
I
we can
try
just
not to.
right exactly so we can discuss them in detail. And we get some good ones. We watch a lot of movies that we wouldn't see otherwise. And so please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit us up on our socials, whatever you want to do. Get involved any which way that you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.